In a death battle with a level playing field, two challengers from the world of A Song of Ice and Fire go head-to-head in a battle of brawn, brain, and leadership. You, the fans, have voted, and your champion's chosen. Going head-to-head today is the gargantuan Gregor Clegane versus the wild Khal Drogo. Let's meet our combatants. Gregor has always been infamous for his love and talent for violence. At 12 years old, he caught his younger brother Sandor playing with one of his toys and shoved his head into a fire, burning the skin off part of his face and causing him lifelong disfigurement. In order to protect the growing reputation of his elder son, their father explained to everyone that Sandor's injuries resulted after his bedding accidentally caught fire. This seemed to work, since at age 16, Gregor was knighted by Prince Rhaegar Targaryen, the very same man whose wife and children Gregor brutally raped and murdered a year later during Robert's Rebellion. Said to be the tallest man in the Seven Kingdoms, measuring in at over 8 feet, Gregor's greatest strength is his great size and strength, allowing him armor and weapons so heavy that most men would struggle to lift them, let alone wear or wield. Add this to his instincts on the battlefield and training as a knight, and you have an absolute behemoth to contend with. Gregor's weakness, however, comes from his heavy size and armor, slowing him down considerably in a fight. And as is the trope with the big burly guys, Gregor is mean and kinda dumb. His uncontrollable temper only made worse from his constant headaches. But he's called Tywin Lannister's Mad Dog because, well, he might not be much of an independent thinker. Like a soldier, he knows how to follow orders. The Dothraki are a fierce race of mounted nomadic warriors in Essos, and known by every man, woman, and child in their culture is Khal Drogo. Born the son of another Khal, there was never a time in Drogo's life when he wasn't both feared and respected by his people. Leading the largest Khalasar on the Dothraki Sea of over 40,000, the leaders of Pentos gave him a massive mansion just so he wouldn't loot and pillage the city. He's ever bound by the revered traditions of the Dothraki, and will do things on his terms and no one else's. Khal Drogo's strengths lie in his natural riding abilities, his considerable speed and physical strength, and experience in a wide variety of weapons, as all Dothraki men are trained from birth to do so. But you need only gaze into the soul of Jason Momoa's nipples to see where his greatest weakness lies. Because the Dothraki see it as a sign of cowardice, they don't wear armor when they fight. Hell, most of the time they don't even wear shirts. But fighting unarmored opponents generally does mean fighting faster ones, and Khal Drogo has defeated every single one. So, will the mountain that rides be able to crush the Wild Horse Lord, or will he be turned into rubble under the weight of the stallion's thundering hooves? This is Warrior Rapist versus Warrior Rapist. Let's get started. First up is physical prowess. Thrown into a one-on-one melee, who would win with no outside help? There's a reason Gregor is the picture next to strength on the intro slide for this category. With a perfect 10 in this stat, and since most can't even touch him in his armor, he earns a perfect 10 in constitution as well. The only place he falters is in his extremely poor mobility, but since he undeniably does possess skill in his weapons, he earns a 5 in dexterity. The mighty Khal earns a lower but more consistent score of an 8 in strength, an 8 in dexterity, and a 7 in constitution. This leaves us with Gregor just edging out Khal Drogo's score of 23 with his 25, but while on paper this looks like a close match, in reality it wouldn't be. Drogo's lack of armor gives him a huge disadvantage here. There's literally nothing between him and Gregor's blade. And even if he could outmaneuver him with his higher speed, to even scratch Gregor, he would have to both get inside the reach of his enormous broadsword and find one of the very small weak points on his armor, which he probably wouldn't even know about due to his lack of experience fighting adversaries with this kind of protection. In other words, the stars would have to perfectly align for Drogo to get a hit in, while Gregor would only have to get lucky once to strike and cut down Drogo. So, point goes to Sir Gregor. Our second category is mental prowess. Who would be the best at outwitting and outplaying the other? When it comes to the mountain, I don't think many would disagree with me when I say that there isn't a whole lot going on in that head of his. He gets a 2 in intelligence, a slightly higher 4 in intuition, and a 4 in will. He has enough brains when it comes to making decisions on the battlefield, but he'll just never be a schemer or a scholar. But hey, who needs books when you can bench press a horse, right? Khal Drogo fares a little bit better here, but while Gregor is bogged down by his simple-mindedness, Khal Drogo is hampered by his unwillingness to break from Dothraki traditions. He's not stupid, but with the primitive ways of his culture he was born into and his refusal to go outside of it, he gets a 3 in intelligence, a 3 in intuition, and a 7 in will. So, Drogo wins out with 13 over Gregor's 10. Although, I'm sort of inclined to use the word win loosely, as these two officially have the 2 lowest mental scores so far in the series. Last up, of course, is political prowess. Gregor isn't gonna charm anyone with his looks or personality. If intimidation and charm were the same thing, it might be a different story, but he's basically a charisma black hole. However, due to his family name, he does own his own keep with lands, so he does get a 5 for wealth. And since intimidation does have something to do with status, he earns a 6 here. Khal Drogo is a brute, which might not be all that engaging for most of us, but he is respected amongst his own people, so he earns a 5 in charisma. I'd give him a higher score than that if not for the fact that his Khalasar wasn't exactly sticking around because they liked him as a person when he was no longer fit to lead. While he probably wouldn't be considered rich by Westerosi standards, Khal Drogo owns several buildings in Vaestathrak and a mansion in Pentos, so he earns a decent 6 in this category and a 6 in status. So, the Khal's political score of 17 beats out Sir Gregor's score of 12. Let's face it, these two really only showed up to compete in one category, with mental prowess coming down to who is the least terrible, and seeing some pretty fairly average scores in the political. That being said, even though Gregor won where it counted, the overall winner this week is Khal Drogo. Thanks so much for watching. If you'd like to help decide the challengers for next time, just hit the like and subscribe buttons, and then vote with the name of a character down below. The 2 with the most votes are going head-to-head next time on Westeros Brawls.